guys. So I'm a little bit late, I'm like a day late, but if anybody knows what's going on with me right now, I'm painting an apartment because I'm getting a new renter. I'm doing parties there. I'm doing live in-person parties there, and I'm doing these tutorials. And my mom wants to go camping in November, and I can't sleep, so I got these big bags under my eyes. I don't know. Suggestions? How to get rid of those? So today, you see my sketchy? We're gonna draw mice on bubbles. You can paint the bubbles any color you want. I am painting mine pink, but you know, purple, blue, whatever you want. If you are afraid to have imperfect circles, then find yourself something round and just do that. Trace it out. So I'm not going to trace it out. I'm going to wing it. Do I get this paper wet? I don't think we're going to get the paper wet because what's going to happen is it's going to bleed all over and expand, and I want my bubbles to stay crisp. So what you're going to need: brown, white, a little bit of black, and whatever color you're making your bubble with. You're going to have a little bit of that. I have way too much paint. If you're looking at size of paint, how much paint to put on, go about a quarter of what I have on here. These divots are not very big. This is way too much paint. This is I don't use much painting today. So hopefully you guys can see this. I've got to get comfortable for me. All right, so I'm going to put my brush in the water, and I'm going to start by making pink color. So I'm going to bring some white over here and take some red. I'm going to go with a darker pink to start with because this will be the outside. And I'm going to fade it out into the center till it's white. That's way too much paint on my brush. So roll it off. If you've got the tiniest little brush, that would be perfect. We're going to place our how did I have them placed? Okay, so if this is the bottom of your page, I've got them coming up. So they can be, it depends on how tiny you want to paint your mouse. So if you want your mouse to be super tiny, then you're going to paint small ones, and then those will be even smaller. But I'm going to paint mine probably about the size of maybe a silver dollar. My mouse aren't going to be, and I'm painting sideways, so excuse me if this is not straight. Maybe I'll move my chair. Move my chair. How about that? Okay, so mouse is going to be standing, so I'm going to have there, one round one. Whew. Should we work on yeah, let's work on those first. All right, so on the inside here, I'm gonna do a thick pink right from like the top of this thing. So 12 o'clock, come around to 6 o'clock. And this way you can also fix your bubble. All right, so only that much. Wash your brush off. It's probably best to do these one at a time anyways. And then take your white, start in the center, get too much white on there, start in the center and go white. Also, if you wanted your background to be a different color, you'd do that first, and then of course you would fade it out. So I'm going to go right to the edge. I still want to see that pink line, but so faintly, keeping the center quite white. And I'm going to go to this pink now, and I'm going to start mixing it, bringing it in. If it's disappearing, I'm wiping the paint off my brush. I'm going to grab a little more of the dark pink. It gets thin here, wide, and then thin. But we want it to be real subtle. That's too stark a transition, so it's like it won't be purple and then white. Wipe all the paint off your brush and just keep going over the pink and white, back and forth a little bit. paint off. Go back into the white. Oh, it's getting subtle now. There you go. Wipe the paint off. It's good practice for like that, right? And it's nice that this is just a subtle hue of pink, so subtle. It's not white, because what we're going to do when this is dry is we're going to put some reflection marks on there. So go ahead, carry on, do all your bubbles going up. Leaving room, I'm going to put another one here. They don't have to be the exact same size. It can be bigger. But remember, your mouse is going to be on there, so if it's too small, your mouse is going to be really hard to work with. Okay, give it a little more dark pink there. Off, straight white. And go into the edge, making part of that edge disappear, but I still want to see a pink line there, so I know where the end of my bubble is. And then right up to that pink. I'm going right over it. Bring it in. A little bit more of the dark pink on there. Subtle. Love it. And the last big bubble will be here. You're gonna need room on the top. Remember this guy? So this guy's pushing it up, this guy's trying to get on sideways. The top one, he's laying on there. See him? He's all cocky and laying on there. So we gotta leave room for him at the top of the page. So don't stick your bubble right there. There's nothing going on right here, so you can put your bubble right here. Make it wide enough across though, so he's got room to lay on there. Hopefully I'm not in your way for this. Dark pink. And so I think, was there one more week? I think there's one more week where I'm doing the 3 videos, because a lot of you guys paid the full pull this month, so I'm honoring that, and we've dropped you down, so you'll be paying $15 next month for one live video, which you can do anytime. You don't have to be there on the Wednesday, but so much more fun if you are. And I will still take suggestions. If I don't get any, I'll just pull what's in my head. Whatever I want to paint. It's just kind of how it's been going. Oh, and I will still be doing one painting, introducing a new technique or product or something. So here, that's a little bit, might be stuck with that on my, because I'm using paper, but with canvas you can usually wash your brush off, get all the excess off, and then you can just sort of scrub and it'll go away. It's tedious, but it works, especially with black. If you make a mistake with black, you take it off first rather than try to smear it into your painting and get rid of it. Take it off first, then carry on with the color. But I've got a white background, so maybe that'll work. Hide it a little bit. Okay. And then there's just some little pink, there's some little pink ones over here. It's hard for me to paint on this angle, but let's go with that there. Have the other one attached to it. And maybe a little one there. One floating here. And there's going to be one just all by itself down there. Same thing, go into the white. Put it in the center, thin it out a little bit. So these ones are just a little different. Just make them all kind of a really super light pink to start with. Not losing their edges, but don't want the edges to be that thick, so. All light pink. Light pink. Just by adding the white and going in circles. Thinning out the little edges there. Then take a little bit of dark pink and you're just going to highlight that edge a little bit. Wipe it off. Give it a little blend on that edge. And go back in with white because we really don't want them to be stark. The contrast, we don't want it to be really stark. It still needs to blend out. Wipe it off, blend again. There we go. Blend again, blend again. See how stark that is? Pink, white. Wipe all the paint off your brush. There. Perfect. Little. Perfect. I'm gonna sneeze. Cayenne pepper. Oh, put cayenne pepper in my tea. I don't know if you guys know that, but it feels really good on the throat. Okay, so now we are going to go into our brown. I'm going to take brown and mix it with some white. You can see that. I'm going to have a light brown mouse. If you can imagine what a deer looks like. Color this is. I'm using the raw umber brown. If you use the burnt umber brown, it's going to be very reddish. So I'm not going to use that one. Take a quick look at my demo. So what we're going to be drawing is this kind of a like teardrop shape for his body. And then we're going to lengthen it up and give him a little hand over top. So starting with that, we're going to start here. His little hand's going to be stretching up around, and it's going to have like a little mound where his hand is. It's going to come down and it's going to teardrop out. So there's your teardrop shape. Don't like that shade of brown. We can add a little more brown into it. Oh, that's too much. That's too much, Bob. A little bit more here. Because that's as long as we want his arm to go. Okay, so putting a little bit of more brown into my mixture because that's not dark enough. Okay, now his little head is just a mound right here. Gotta leave him some arm so he's climbing, okay? And then from there, so it's just like a little half circle there. And then we're gonna give him a great big ear. Easy peasy, hey? It's your mouth shape. His arm could be a little longer. It's up to you. His arm could be a little bit longer. I'm going to go on this side of the balloon a little bit, touch that up. Take a little bit of white. I just wiped off my brush. Take a little bit of white on the end, and I'm going to just lighten up inside of his ear a little. Not at the head. Okay? And his feet, his legs, you're going to have one leg, it's going to come right off of here, not too thick. And it's just kind of going to be like that at the bottom, like a little triangle. And the other one's going to be here, it's going to be a little shorter because it's behind. It's just like a little triangle. And then his tail coming off here, can go in any direction, but it's going to be on the ground. Oh man, gotta keep this thin. Okay, there's your first mouse. Now take your back of your brush, dip it in the black. It's going to have a tiny little eye right here. Oh, that's big. Okay, mine have big eyes. All right, so now you can see, and you can take your brown and you can highlight or darken right there a little bit. That's too much. That's too much. If I work at it, like this a little bit, I darken. Now I'm just sort of blending it in, and a little bit of dark, right there, so I know where his head is. Okay, look, I'm gonna bring this closer. Now you can see that his arm goes up in front of his face a little bit. And see what the highlights are? Super cool. His nose is really hidden away underneath his arm, so we could really lengthen that circle so it does look like it's hidden behind there. But that's your first mouse. And it also needs a shadow. So I'm going to take some brown, straight dark brown, and I'm going to water it out a little bit. Maybe put a little bit of black in it so it's like a little darker. So just a little bit. Don't have a whole lot on here. Right where his feet are. And from his tail there's going to be kind of a line right under his feet. I want this to be really watered out so it's a shadow like this. Really watered out, but it's going to be darker than the mouse. And that's it. So that's going to look like he's on the ground. The other ones won't be getting a shadow because they're not on the ground. Oh, I like it. I'm waiting for the balloons to dry because there's still bubbles. There's still going to be one more step to the bubbles. All right, so second mouse. He's going to have, whoa, try to hold this straight. It's kind of a curvy half moon shape with a bubble, maybe like a cashew nut here. And then his arm's going to be a little longer. Same position for the head. So back to our brown. It's going to start here. He's a little bit more on there. So I'm going to start here on the bubble. See what I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to cashew it out onto the bubble. And there we go. Start small, you can make him bigger. I mean, if he's bigger, just got a fatter mouse, that's all. There we go. Let's pull this a little thinner. That's his shoulder going to his arm, and he's hanging on. So at the end, it's got a little bump wherever his hand's going to be. Half circle here. Make him a little fatter if you want. A goofy shape, but it all works out in the end. Maybe even before you put the ears on, you can go to straight brown just a little bit, remember? And just right here where his shoulder was. So a little bit of light dark brown here. Fade that down. Or if you're the opposite and you've got a lot of light, or it's really dark already, you can go take a tiny bit of white, tiny bit, and you can lighten them up under here. So make them a little bit lighter. And make sure you tap in there and really blend it so it's seamless. Just want to see, like, his little arms a little bit longer. Just seamless so that it just, you can see that it's his shoulder there. And we go with our regular color again. Where's the ears on that? Aha. Oops, sorry guys, making you dizzy. And then his ear is going to be right here, another little circle. There you go. Now you can see little face. Maybe you want it to be a little wider. It's your mouse, so you can make them as round as you want. Tiny little bit of white inside the ear. Don't get his head. Too much. Too much. There we go. And then again with the eye. Right above his shoulder. Oh, maybe he should have a big eye too. Cute. Okay, he's got little toes. And it kind of looks like little flower petals, but because he's so small, we just have to put little dips. Bring this to a little bit of a point, and then it's got like, it almost looks like 3 little round toes. 1, 2, 3. I gotta go grab something else. Hang on one second. Ooh, coming back, it looks even cute when you walk away and come back. All right, so he does have a tail, and his tail's going to come around this way because that'll make it look like he's really pushing, trying to hang on. So coming off of here. To water that down, man, it's too thick. It's too thick. I'm pushing too hard. I want to push harder. I'm going to have a thick tail. Okay, third guy. Third guy, he's so cocky. His body is going to be laying across this bubble. It's going to be just a round oval like this. He is got sort of his face is sort of a little bigger there, so it's kind of round, but it's got a bigger forehead and it comes a little narrower, kind of like an acorn. We can adjust his body to make him a little bigger so that it matches his big head. Make it nice and round there. Nice round belly. And from here, his little hand is going to be holding him up. So it's going to be a line this way, down, and then his shoulder comes in. So do you see that? There's his little hand holding it. Little hand holding his head up and his elbow, riding on the blue. His legs, let me see, what did I do with his legs? Okay. So I've got one leg's going to come off here and it's going to come down. And the other one's going to come from here and cross. So I'm going to have to do some highlighting so that actually shows up. The other elbow, the other hand will come. I gotta take a quick look. Okay. Elbow comes this way and out. So he's coming up this way and then out. To a point. I'm going to put some little toes on those too. And from here, he's holding his tail. So his tail's going to come through. I know that looks a little weird, like his legs aren't long enough, so we do have to do some highlighting. So this leg here is actually that. See that? And then give him some toes. One toe, two toes. I wish I had a smaller brush for that. It has to be darker over top of his belly. So I just darkened the whole thing just so you can see where it was, and now I have to do some light stuff. So going back in, I'm going to throw a little bit of light over top of his leg. Right, so I did the light going back over top of his leg here. Just so that you can see his leg come up. It's kind of goofy because I don't have a very good brush, but you're going to do these kind of little things on the end of his toes. Let's lighten up his belly somewhat. Too much white on there. Wipe it off. Okay, I'm lightened up. I'm going to give him some ears because he just looks goofy right now. great big ear here, and great big ear there. Now it kind of looks like the mouse again. Huge ears. I have to make his face a little bigger, which is no problem. Okay, definitely needs some highlights. So here's where his nose is going to be. I want highlight across his forehead a little bit. Down his chin just a tad. Start blending that in, and his nose. Super subtle. It's going to be a little bit darker in this area here where his eyes are going to be. And then I have to do black. Let's see if this helps out a little bit. So there's his pointy little nose and his big eyes. Great big eyes. I'm going to take some dark brown. I'm going to go underneath his chin. White here, his ears, white, we could even do pink in the ears too. Pink would look good. This is the hardest mouse to do, this one. His body should be bigger. But he's an egotistical mouse. He's got a big head. Taking some straight dark brown here, just going right there. Oh, we're babysitting today. A little shadow so we can figure out where his head is. Never too much. Alright, he doesn't have any whiskers. I'm afraid to do whiskers because they would be too, got this brush. You guys have this brush, it's the #1 watercolor brush. I'm going to go into my black. This one, and roll it around and we'll see what happens. I want to do some whiskers. This gives me nice thin lines, so we'll see if this will give some whiskers. Oh yeah, love this brush. Look how I hardly even touched the paper. I hardly even touched the paper with this, and look how fine those little whiskers are. Amazing, hey? Amazing. That's why I dig that brush. Nobody can touch it. Alright, I think that we're going to do some white highlights in the eyes. So taking my brush, my round one, and putting just a tiny little bit of white on. I am going to, because they're so wet, I'm going to touch this wet eye. Okay, and give it a little dot, gives it a highlight. Same with this one. Super light touch, guys. It's a tiny eyeball. And you. Ugh. Too much. Try to take some off. When it dries, you can go back in with some black, but oh, take it off. I'm adding more. Now go back to the black. Sorry, did my head just get right in the way there? It's because I can't see that far away. I'm a blind artist. I wonder if I could just use this one, because this one's super fine, right? Super fine. Try that. was way better. Ah. What was I thinking? I'm trying to take out some of this white. It's too much. But when it dries, you could also go in and just do some more black. But anyways, that is my mouse. Missing a piece of ear here. That's my mouses on bubbles, and here's where we're going to put some nice white highlights because I think they should be dry. So we're going to draw a square, and the rule of thumb is, for this one, it's going to be kind of rounded. It's going to come down round but narrower. So it's wider on the top and narrower there. The second one starts the same size, kind of a triangle. And this side should curve, this side should curve, bigger here and narrower. It's wider and narrower as it gets there. Let me just show you that in black. I'll do it on the other side, really big. Hopefully I'm not going to smudge my mice up. Hold this up. Okay, so here's my balloon. Here's my balloon. I'm going to take and I'm going to go like that. It's going to come round and narrower, round and narrower, round, round, like brackets. Next one starts, it's the same size as the bottom there, round to a triangle, round to a triangle. So if you were to line those up, watch. Paint. If you were to line those up, they would line up like that, minus that square. So that makes sense? Start big, round, round, so they parallel, getting narrower. Same size, round, round to a triangle. That's your highlight, and that's what it looks like. So clean that, and we're not doing it on the little ones. We're just going to do it on these bigger ones. So might be reflected here, might be stuck. You won't not see it, might not see it because that mouse is in the way, but you could do part of it. And there you go. That is mouse on bubbles. Bubble mice. A couple bubble mice. Tiny bubbles. Anyways, okay, I'm going to download this one and I'm going to whip up another one for you real quick and have that for you ready today too. Okay?